The following was recorded during the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike. Without the hard work of the laborers and actors fighting for their rights, the stories we love would not exist and these conversations would not be possible. For more information on how to aid the strikers, go to the link in the description down below. Now, for what y'all came for. This past week, from Tatiana Seigel of Variety, a bit of a hubbub was made with an article that if your only source for entertainment news is TikTok and Twitter, you'd think that the name of the article was Marvel in Shambles.
It might as well have been. It might as well have been. What's the actual name of it?
Crisis at Marvel.
Oh, please.
Jonathan Majors' backup plans, the Marvel's reshoots, reviving original Avengers, and more issues revealed.
Yeah, Crisis. First of all, Crisis is a DC thing. But yeah, God, the second that I knew,
sensational. That's his word.
Thank you. My favorite clip. It's like the second I saw this article existed, I think it was at my computer, and it's like immediately my butt clenched, knowing I'd be annoyed for the next 5 hours. Like it's like watching a show and they do something like really risky, and you're like, oh God, that's gonna be a thing. Like it's that feeling times 10 because groundwork before we even get into this.
Yes,
something that we talk about, whether they admit it or not. There are people, especially over the last 3-4 years, that want to see this fail because they have this being, superhero films, which I don't think is a genre, but that's a different conversation. I think it's a type of character in the same way that like there are Westerns, there are cowboy movies that are revenge movies, there are cowboy movies that are romance movies, there are cowboy movies that are father-son movies. There are boxers, there are boxing movies that are underdog movies. It's saying superhero genre is, I get why people do it, but it's not actually a thing. But regardless, I know there are ones that are played more straight up, but that's fine. But at the end of the day, we've convoluted the conversation to the point where, and we like muddied the waters to the point where the term superhero movie and Marvel are used interchangeably, which is a big thing. Because like people will be like, they'll see Flash and they won't like it, and then Marvel's is coming up and they're like, it's these superhero movies, and it's like those are completely different companies, goals, situations. But regardless, so that's a problem. The other problem is like, God, just leave this man alone. The Martin Scorsese of it all, an 80-year-old man with nothing but love for movies, just living his life, making TikToks with his daughter, making masterpiece prestige cinema. He said a couple of things, none of which actually insult any Marvel movies specifically.
I don't know. They're not real cinema. I compare them more to theme park rides. I do think it
was not the phrasing I would have gone with. But as he's been asked about it continually and it keeps coming up, he's never said what people read into that, which was, he's never been like the characters are bad, the filmmakers don't know what they're doing. I think he's just making the distinction between the same distinction people have made forever between popcorn movies and Oscar movies. That's what we grew up on. Is it popcorn or is it Oscar bait? I think his language just replaced that. I don't think he actually has it out for this stuff as a human being. Like, Francis Ford Coppola, one of his best friends, likes Black Panther and like sat there, watched it, and sat with Ryan Coogler and gave him recommendations and notes. And like his other best friend is George Lucas and his other best friend is Steven Spielberg. So it's like, I really don't think that crowd cheer applause movies are his issue. I think what he's talking about and has been talking about is the fact that we live in a world where the middle movie is gone. When we grew up, there were movies that were just like coming of age movies. There was we grew up in the rated R comedy sort of boom of Superbad and Knocked Up and Step Brothers and like all those movies. Those are gone. It's just you get one here and there, but it's either we spend all the money and it gets released everywhere and it dominates and theaters can only show that, and so people only know that, and so kids only grow up on that and they think that's just what movies is. Or you're down here and you have his like masterpiece films that he's making at age 80 that have to get released on Apple TV Plus. So it's like, I get the argument is why only this, and that's a much bigger conversation, but people latch onto that and they take like the theme park comment and they're like, see, a masterpiece filmmaker said that they suck and they're stupid and it's like, no, he's just saying that they're crowd entertainment more so than like, I don't think anybody's going to echo a Native American character for the same reasons they're going to Killer of the Flower Moon. Like it's just, they're not the same, and that's okay. He never said that those don't have a place to exist, but people latched onto that and have made it this shouldn't exist. Oh, it's so over. Oh, Faihi. Oh, it sucks. It was always bad, or it's been bad only since 2019. So this has been bubbling and boiling before any of these perceived issues. And frankly, it's annoying because I don't understand. It's the same as like music, like real music that gets thrown around a lot. That music's probably the worst.
Dude, I hate it so much. I get so I want to run into traffic every time I talk about hip hop with somebody who's like 5 years older than me.
Yeah,
and they're
5 years
just
older than
immediately
you. Yeah, especially where you are. You're up in in Latrobe.
Hey, not anymore. Not anymore. I'm
That's
more in the
true.
city. So like the takes have gotten better.
No, but
I don't play Kendrick Lamar and then hear a room full of retirees start saying shit you'd have heard in Alabama in the 60s.
God, but yeah,
now-
no, it's that same thing though. Of like, why can't we? Like my 4 favorite movies this year so far are completely different. I have a space blockbuster. I have Oppenheimer. I have a lesbian teen violent comedy. And what's my number 4 right now? My number 4, I don't know. Is it John Wick? I can't remember. But it's like I like having the variations in the same way I grew up reading comics and reading novels. And people can't hold 2 thoughts in their brain anymore. And they are angry at the fact that these companies, these mega corporations like Disney and Warner and whoever else, only put this out and put all their resources into putting it out and making sure that it has the most screens. That's a real problem. That's a real problem. And like Tarantino talked about it. Like he released Hateful Eight and had theaters breaking his contract, breaking the deal with him for Force Awakens. And it's like, so that this stuff has been happening with blockbuster cinema, and this stuff has been happening in terms of branding and pleasing the shareholders. We'll talk about that with the amount of Marvel shows that came out that first year. There is a business end to this, but acting like this is somehow anti-art and therefore needs to go away is the dumbest shit that I've ever heard. It's so dumb. And just to bring the smoke right off the bat, people that are out here like armchair fucking executives on Twitter being like, and this is why, see, to save Hollywood, these movies like the Marvels, we don't need. It's like, if you can't tell me what the main idea of these movies is, I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Oh yeah,
I don't want to hear it. If you watch something like, again, it's these people that think Jaws is about the shark. Like, if you think Endgame was about all the heroes coming through the portals and punching stuff and not about grief and not about getting stuff back while keeping what you've made along the way and not about coming to terms with things and not about like if you don't understand what movies are about, then I don't care what you think. If you're like a TikToker like Soups that just yells "Let's go" at everything, and then we'll release a trailer react and a Shambles video in like 15
those
hours
two
of
being
each
right
other,
next to each other is just so funny.
The greatest thing. It brought me so much joy.
Well, that and there's the one thing, and I talk about this all the time, and that I think it's a failing on the fans and like the fandom thought leaders we've allowed to get a foothold and dominate the conversation. That there's become very much like what you said with like Endgame is not about the portals. The portals are the catharsis of fighting like hell to take back what was taken from us. That is the catharsis of that moment. But because like I think we've overemphasized the adrenaline rush that came from that catharsis to now mean who's going to show up in what now.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I've talked about this at nauseum, that ever since the rumors started bubbling around about Matt Murdock being in No Way Home, the drum beat has been, when's Daredevil going to show up? 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 Oh, Wilson Fisk was in Hawkeye. Well, now when's Matt going to show up? When's Matt going to show up? Oh, we got him in No Way Home. Well, when's he going to show up in She-Hulk? We know he's going to be in She-Hulk. And then you have a bunch of people who are like banging on the door of She-Hulk that are refusing to engage with what She-Hulk's about, refusing to engage with what She-Hulk has to offer entertainment-wise, and just almost proving the thesis of She-Hulk by demanding to see the story, demanding to see the brief appearance of this dude when when so much of that show is about like the casual misogyny in the world. And then we get to Daredevil Born Again is cooking, and immediately whenever Bernthal kind of lets it slip that he's going to be in it, all people are talking about is the Punisher. And it's funny because I made jokes about that before Bernthal let that slip. I am on the record of talking about when's Daredevil going to show up, when's Daredevil going to show up, when's Daredevil going to show up. We get a Daredevil show. Where's the Punisher? And then like clockwork, it happened.
No, because people just want. You have two big subgroups of fans. You have the people that like really want the stuff to fail, and the people that really just want the next big react moment, and they're both wrong. And in that becomes this climate where articles like this can thrive, because it's the same bullshit that we've been going through in the Star Wars space for the last like 9 years. It was just like every time something happens, it's in shambles. Like the Marvel's reshoots, it's the same shit we went through with Rogue One. Like, it's been down this road, and we're gonna keep going down this road. And yes, there's valid things that we'll talk about. And as we go through this article, we're gonna try. I'm gonna try to be very balanced, because every now and then there's a point where I'm like, that's valid. Like, I'll say it right up front. Everything about the treatment of VFX and production workers is so valid, and I'm so glad that Marvel Studios VFX workers, Disney Motion Pictures VFX workers, and I believe now Disney Production are all unionizing. Get that money, get those protections. I hope it can spread to animation as well after the Spider-Verse stuff. Let's make these changes, because it's horrible crunch time and abuses. We'll talk about like Quantumania, how when that swap dates with Marvel's, they meant like it wasn't like it was more along. They did the date swap, and we're like, hey, now you got to meet that date, so get crunching.
So yeah, you ready to jump into the article, bud?
Yeah. Go ahead.
This past September, a group of Marvel creatives, including studio chief Kevin Feige, assembled in Palm Springs for the studio's annual retreat. Most years, the vibe would have been confident, even cocky, given how the premier superhero brand owned by Disney since 2009 has remade the entertainment business in its image. But this occasion was angst-ridden. Everyone at Marvel was reeling from a series of disappointments on screen, a legal scandal involving one of its biggest stars, and questions about the viability of the studio's ambitious strategy to extend the brand beyond movies into streaming. The most pressing issue to be discussed at the retreat was what to do about Jonathan Majors, the actor who had been poised to carry the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but is instead headed to a high-profile trial in New York later this month on domestic violence charges. The actor insists he is the victim, but the damage to his reputation and the chance he could lose the case has forced Marvel to reconsider its plans to center the next phase of its interlocking slate of sequels, spin-offs, and series around Major's villainous character, Kang the Conqueror. At the
Can we just
gathering,
stop right there real quick?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Not to get into the majors, because that'll be its own thing, and requires a level of delicacy and seriousness that I'm not bringing at this moment. I just want to say, like, I know there's like the whole thing of like sources, and everyone protects their sources, as they should. It's one of the tenets of journalism. But I think it's just hilarious that like one of the first things that comes out of this is something that is so immediately based in hyperbole, gross hyperbole, like coming off of a string. Was it a string of what? A string of failures, or a string of
A string of a series, reeling from a series of disappointments on screen.
what are you talking about? Like, what does that mean? Like, Quantumania didn't deliver. Like, I think the movie's fine. I think it's a fun watch. I watched it once. I enjoyed myself. I moved on with my
I
life.
like Quantumania. I honestly,
Even if you hate that movie, even if that movie made $0,
I think Secret Invasion as well. I think Secret
Invasion is the first thing in the MCU that I've outright disliked in a long time, to the level that I don't like it. Which is weird because I really like the first 4 episodes. It just has a sharp drop off. Even if you give those 2, did Guardians 3 not just make $800-something million and get critically lauded as their greatest film by many people? And
critics love She-Hulk.
Did we not have like She-Hulk? Did we not just have
Black
Wakanda
Panther,
Forever at the end of last year? Did we like? And I know like the shows have been bad has become another like bullshit film Twitter term, but like that's just objectively not true. Like when WandaVision was coming out, people were like, the creativity, the way that they've stretched themselves, like they've never done anything like this before. Falcon and Winter Soldier, people didn't care for as much, but you know what? Loki was right on its heels. And we are in Loki right now as it's being published, and everyone's saying, we're so back. This is still the greatest show. So I find this like, and back it up even further before WandaVision, or I know later that year after Loki, people liked What If, simple, but they really liked it. They liked Hawkeye. We had fucking No Way Home in that year. Like, it's been a mixed reactions, but like this string of
it has alternated between like oh, people were kind of meh on this, and then people lost their fucking minds over the next thing.
Which is another bit of table setting that we should do that I should have said already, which was phases 1 through 3 of the studio's endeavors constantly was met with the criticism, it's all the same, you're always doing the same thing, it's repetitive. So then they come out with a phase and they say, you know what, we're gonna stretch, we're gonna do a couple sitcoms, we're gonna do some fantasy, we're gonna do some coming of age, we're gonna do some straight comedies, we're gonna do some pulp sci-fi. And then people said, no, not like that, not different like that, that's not what we meant. Phases 1 through 3 was perfect. And it's like, you people are not fucking serious. Anyway, I just had to start on that negative note.
I have also bucked against the weird like, oh, it's all been bad or it's all been mixed. Like again, like it's almost like clockwork of WandaVision is inventive and complex and weird and brave enough to stick to like the sitcom runtime for a show that was so rooted in a what the fuck is going on.
With 2 Avengers characters, like with 2 huge characters. After Endgame.
I did not much care for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There are elements of it that I loved. And then you get Loki, which is a fucking smash.
Which everybody loved.
Which everyone loves. People, it is almost universally talked about as the best MCU show. Now you have Moon Knight, which like some people love, some people are like meh on. Like I like most of these projects, I do not know of many people.
But nobody would be like, no one would ever say that Moon Knight or Hawkeye or Ms. Marvel's outright bad. No one in good faith would ever say that. Because even if you're like, the middle episodes dragged, it's a little stretch, which is part of what they're going through, which is they've been making films and chopping them into 6 parts. They've been treating it like films. Now they're not. And this is the second or third time that they've restructured how they do TV. There was a fucking corporate civil war over TV and whether or not it was going to count and be canon, and Feihe threatening to quit and blah, 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 blah. We've been down this fucking road more than once. So yeah, just the article starting with that negative tone immediately told me, oh God, like we're in for one. Like this is a immediately, like I would love to see this. Again, it's not personal. I'm not being like fire this writer. That's stupid. But I would love to see their letterbox scores for the past few. Like, are they just hating? Like, I don't know. Anyway, but that's just ridiculous, especially with Guardians 3 and Wakanda being 2 of the last 3 movies.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here. Get out of here.
At the gathering in Palm Springs, executives discussed backup plans, including pivoting to another comic book adversary like Doctor Doom. But making any shift would carry its own headaches. Majors is already a big presence in the MCU, and including as the scene-stealing antagonist in February's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and has been positioned as the franchise's next big thing in this season of Loki. Particularly in the finale, which airs on November 9th, and sets up Kang as the titular star of the 5th Avengers film in 2026. Marvel is truly fucked with the whole Kang angle, says one top deal maker who has seen the final Loki episode. And they haven't had an opportunity to rewrite until very recently, but I don't see a path as to how they move forward with him. Now, I just want to pause here and say again,
this part's ridiculous.
The major situation is it's thrown back of cats. We've talked about it a lot on TNAP about how, the constant churn of information and confusion with this situation is something that, like, at this point, I am just holding my breath until there is a verdict and we can speak in more concrete terms.
Mm-hmm.
When the case is literally laid out.
Yeah.
But from
Marvel's perspective,
hard time understanding how the Kang situation is this bad. I understand you hitched your wagon to like an actor who was the new hotness, which was something Marvel didn't typically do. That is not something Marvel did. He like it was Jonathan Majors' fucking Hollywood. And
he was one of the from Love Cow Country, then getting that role, then Last Black Man in San Francisco, and then moving to Creed 3. He was one of the new guys, and like you said, they don't typically do that. They would go more unknown or more veteran actors like Downey.
And granted, it is worth noting that like it was just off the heels of Lovecraft Country that he was brought into the fold as Kang.
Exactly.
It was when all holy hell broke loose. He was like on top of the fucking world because of Creed and Ant-Man and
right.
et cetera.
And they've done it. I'd say once, but the other time they did it was with Brie Larson, which is ironic because that's the other movie that is being is under fire in this article, because Brie Larson had just won the Oscar and they were like, "That's Captain Marvel," like at her acting peak. But regardless, I agree with you. Like, I don't want to say his alleged crimes aside, because it's serious and I don't mean to be flippant about it, but I just mean from the business point, from Marvel's side of things, how would they be? How are they afraid of this? How are they like, this is a studio that has recast roles before, is about to again. Harrison Ford next year in Captain America 4 is a recast of William Hurt. Mark Ruffalo, which if you remember back in 2012, people went into Avengers being like, "Oh, Mark Ruffalo," like they really wanted Norton. And that was met with negativity, and then everyone left Avengers saying Hulk was their favorite part.
And again, I understand.
And Don Cheadle's about to get a movie, and he's a recast. I'm sorry.
Yeah, again, I understand the like kind of like public corporate embarrassment of, we put a lot of chips on this guy and he fucked up, regardless of what is true, what is not true, what has happened, what hasn't happened, the very possible reality that, everything on both on I don't want to both sides it, but that like both sides are bringing factual material to the table. Um, does not undo the alleged fuckery of Jonathan Majors, and it's horrible fucking press, you know. Um, so
But you
yeah,
know
it
what's
would be a
good
little bit of
press?
an
You know what's really
embarrassment.
good press? Good press is being like, we don't want bad apples in the Marvel family. We're
Yeah,
doing this. That like it could be
and
so easily turned.
I was too young to remember this, and I've mentioned it earlier. I've been making my way through the MCU book. I did not realize how fucking pointed Feige was about getting rid of Norton with his whole
Oh,
like we want
yeah.
team players.
I remember
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, where he basically was like, hey, he's an egomaniac, and I don't want to fucking work with him.
Yeah.
But like again, aside from like the shame and embarrassment of we put so much on this guy and he shit the bed. Kang is defined by the fact that he exists in multitudes. Like I don't understand. Like this isn't
Mhm.
like this isn't like how like every couple weeks there's a rumor about how Tom Holland's not coming back for Spider-Man 4. Every
Mhm.
couple weeks there's a rumor about that. And whether or not that's true, it's not relevant to this conversation. That's going to be hard. That is going to cause audience confusion. That is going to be a tough needle to thread. Recasting the villain who has defined himself as an
Look at all
ass
these
load of
versions
me,
of me. Yeah.
an ass load of me exists. And sure, all of the ones we've seen so far look like Jonathan Majors, but like
But
this is
they've
the same
set up
audience that
a
understands
yes,
that like Spider-Man can look like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and a
exactly.
cartoon
They have
and Tom
very
Holland.
wisely, intentionally or not, they've done themselves a great service by establishing that some characters are going to look the same in every universe that we see, and
Yeah,
some won't. All the Doctor Strangers look like Benedict as of now.
yeah,
All the Spider-Mans look different. All the Lokis look different. All the Kangs have looked like Majors, but they don't have to.
yeah.
So it's like that rule is completely flexible.
I just can't. And again, I understand the very real potential crimes and all of that. Said we've said this a lot when we talk about Loki. Like it's just not to hand wave away the shitty behavior, but like he's an incredible actor. So I understand it's big shoes to fill and it's an embarrassing L to take, but I just to this day do not understand how this is this much of a sticking point.
I don't understand how
I
it's difficult.
truly
Like
don't. I
if you've
truly
got
don't.
writers, they have they have Michael Waldron writing Secret Wars, and they had Jeff Loveness on Kang Dynasty, but now he's off of it, and someone else is writing it. I can't remember who. So they're being written. Just stick to Kang. Like there's so many great actors out there. Or who's the next Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, that you can
Yeah.
elevate, that you can get, that you guys can find and make another household name out of. Um, it just feels so like people. A lot of people have said John Boyega. I've said Corey Hawkins. A lot of people have said John David Washington. Like there's so many guys
Oh,
that
I
are
haven't
right
heard
there.
John. Oh, fuck. That's good.
It'd be great. There's so many guys that
Oh,
are right there, ready to break from high A tier into S tier of Hollywood.
yeah.
They're ready. Um, or all of them. Like that's the other
Or
part of it.
literally, yes. Just say yes
Or
to
cast
everybody.
4 dudes that are gonna be this is gonna be Kang in the shows. This is gonna be Kang in this movie. This is gonna be Kang in this movie. This is gonna be this specific Kang is gonna be the one that is the blood relative of this Reed. Since we have F4 coming, like just get silly. Like, and I don't understand why this is such a thing. But like this talk of like we might pivot to Doctor Doom. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd fucking assume he's coming too. They're about to do Fantastic Four. Duh. Like I it doesn't shock me that he's on the mind, but it shocks me that they're
See,
like, should we rush
I
his debut? Like,
whenever people so and maybe this is me like using the source material as a bible too much, but like whenever it was like Kang Dyn is like Fantastic Four and then Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars, in my mind, I'm like, okay, so Doom's gonna usurp Kang,
or something.
right?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get God Emperor Doom, and then the MCU is remade after that. Like, it just feels so painfully obvious to
Yeah.
me that like Doom is probably gonna be the villain of Secret Wars.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I felt like that writing was on the wall. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. Maybe we'll know. Maybe we'll never know. Beyond the bad press for Majors, the brain trust at Marvel is also grappling with the November release of The Marvels, a sequel to 2019's blockbuster Captain Marvel that has been plagued with lengthy reshoots and now appears likely to underwhelm at the box office. This is all an unprecedented turn of fortune for a company that has enjoyed a nearly uninterrupted string of hits ever since it started independently producing its movies with 2008 Iron Man. That wildly profitable run accumulated or culminated. I can't fucking read. It's the episode we're going to read a whole article, and I'm illiterate now. Culminated in a $2.8 billion success of 2019's Avengers Endgame, a high watermark for the studio that has earned nearly $30 billion over 32 films. Replicating that kind of phenomenon is never easy. However, the source of Marvel's current troubles can be traced back to 2020. Obviously, that's where the COVID pandemic ushered in a mandate to help boost Disney's stock price with an endless turn of interconnected Marvel content for the studio's fledgling streaming platform, Disney Plus. According to the plan, there would never be a lapse in superhero fare with either a film in theaters or a new television series streaming at any given moment. And we touched on that earlier that, maybe, again, another valid criticism. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they were going a little too fast for their own goods with the
Too
output
fast
with
with
TV
stuff
shows.
behind a paywall, which is something that on the Star Wars side people have talked about with like a Dave Filoni film down the road. Like how hard can you go into focusing on characters that people had to pay to get to know? And the Marvels, it fucking sucks that the film led by three women, directed by a woman of color, two of the three leads are women of color.
Yeah.
Happens to be the one that's going to take this bullet first, but it's a
Yeah.
bullet that Captain America 4 will also take, which is people had to pay to get some of this particular lead up. And maybe they didn't. And we know Ms. Marvel was underwatched. I'm going to chalk that up to a combination of people don't take teenage girls seriously, Islamophobia, general racism, and misogyny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that said, and I want to piggyback off of that, and maybe it's when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and the Fandom menace and how we got here of it all. Another element to the mixed reception of Marvel stuff in the last couple years. I'm sorry, you're never going to convince me that it is not. A chunk of it is not rooted in bigotry.
Because Phase 4 is the most diverse phase by a mile.
You're not gonna convince me that's not true.
No,
You're
yeah.
never gonna be able to do it.
Eternals has a diverse cast with people of color, a disabled individual who Makari being deaf, played by Lauren Ridolph,
Yeah.
Asian woman directed that film. Then you've got Ms. Marvel. Then you have even Moon Knight. Not that Oscar Isaac is people aren't hating on him for being Latino, but he is.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter
Well,
Soldier.
people sir did come down hard. Layla was the name of the scarab lady. I can't remember.
Yes, yeah, Scarlet Scarab, Layla, yeah.
Or the scarab, yeah. Like people lost their minds over that. People like again, and
No, it's a part of it. It's
there
a
is
part of it.
I
How
understand.
much of Love and Thunder before the movie came out, and like people have valid reasons to not like it. And one of our best friends, Trey, hates that movie. But you look at a lot of it was Lady Thor from people that never read the Jason Aaron run. It didn't
Yeah.
understand that it was a story about someone finding their strength amidst a cancer battle. No, to them it was Thor's a girl now. Yeah, no, that's a huge part of this, and it's culminating now in the Marvels because Brie happens to be their boogeyman for
Yeah.
making innocent comments about how media needs to be like have more voices at the table. So that's a huge part of it. It's not a coincidence that it's all in shambles once they get to the phase where they start bringing people to the table.
Well, and I also think that there's this snake eating its own tail effect here at play, where we saw it happen with Star Wars. You and I talked about it for like 3.5 hours one time. It is the episode of this podcast that is put as the recommended thing on every episode, and I did that on purpose. That with Star Wars, there was this moment that happens with that franchise in particular, for whatever reason, of this thing's new. And for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like the thing I knew. So because it's new and different from what I remember, I feel weird about it. And I don't know how to feel about how I feel weird about it. And because I like this thing, I watch people talk about it on the internet. And because the fucking sludge rises to the top, you end up with all of these fandom menace grifter shitheads who get to lead the conversation and start doing all the weird woke broke shit. And while flattening the comic book movie cape shit space wizard demographic to straight white dudes is reductive, it is still a large market share of that demo. So you have a large number of these guys who are who are culturally and have an implicit bias to not like fully appreciate these stories that are being told that don't center them the same way that most other superhero and cape shit narratives do.
Yeah.
They turn to these, awful thought leaders who give them the easy out of get woke, go broke.
Especially because, which as we know is stupid because they certainly did not go broke, but it's just like, we also have to keep in mind, like these echo chambers are internet echo chambers.
Yeah.
Like there are the vast majority of moviegoers that are not in movie Twitter are just like, oh, I'll go see that one. It looks interesting. Or they're like, I'll wait for the Blu-ray on that one. Like they're just making basic decisions. But even Variety is stuck, despite being a legacy publication, is stuck pandering to the fucking to the clicks. That's
yeah. So I do think that so when you take, and again I've said before, the Marvel fandom took the MCU zeitgeist fandom, which is basically all entertainment consumers ostensibly, did to themselves what it took Star Wars fans about a decade or so to do, and speed ran that process.
Yeah.
And now we've arrived at this issue where they're doing all of the same things, but at this like heightened rate where like it's just moving faster and faster and faster. And because it's like, yeah, well, it's not about Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor anymore. And I don't know how I feel about that. And I miss those characters. And I related to those characters more than the Muslim American girl from Jersey or the African princess or, this or that or this or that or this or that. That, well, I don't know how I feel about that. Well, it's not about me, so therefore it's bad. And because it's not about me, I'm going to make it, that's inherently the problem, is that it's not about me. Like you can't convince me that weird mix of toxic nostalgia and inability to move on from what is comfortable does not then dovetail into being like a backdoor into like the fandom menace radicalization. You can't convince me these things are not connected. You can't. You never will be able to convince me that I'm wrong. That is not, maybe not the majority of the problem here, but it's part of it. And a lot of
the other thing,
a lot of the not necessarily bigoted creators are all like tangentially related, and maybe it's not their fault that that's how the algorithm works, that when you start, consuming a surface level, rudimentary, intentionally obtuse analysis of this media, that the next thing down the line is Nerdrotic or Knights of Melvin or whatever the fuck, it's the same thing that happened on YouTube in the 2010s. You watch an edgy YouTuber who's playing Call of Duty, and inexplicably, what's the next thing in your suggested feed? Ben Shapiro owns radical leftist. Like, It's the same thing happening. It's just the nerd sphere has
No.
has corded off its part of the pipeline to be its own terrifying superconducting loop of fuckery.
So that's part of it.
Yes.
You know what the other part of it is? We've
What?
already talked about it. They're on fucking strike. So when people are shocked that this movie's tracking for like 75 to 80 opening and will probably ultimately do about as well as like Eternals or Solo a Star Wars story, it's like no shit. They had this set up for the fall to be the feel good press tour probably ever. These 30 women going on Jimmy Kimmel, going on Jimmy Fallon, going to Disney, like this was going to be one of the like we're banking on the actors, we're banking on social media, this was going to be one of those,
especially to offset the you didn't watch Miss Marvel, or you didn't watch Miss Marvel, you didn't watch WandaVision, you didn't
like the
watch
value of
Secret
having
Invasion because
Iman,
fucking Fury's here. Like
the value of having Iman Vellani on television being like, I've always looked up to Brie Larson the way that Kamala's always looked up to Carol, like is so that is so important. And it just it's the wrong time. I wish that they would have pulled a Dune and pushed this to next year.
Yeah,
I really do. This stubbornness will bite them here. And so everyone's gonna get fucked for this.
Yeah, the stubbornness will bite them, and then the Fandom Menace gets a talking point to run around with because the Marvels didn't make $1 billion in 2 days. And that's the standard that we have set for these movies, that for whatever reason they have to rise to this unprecedented occasion, and everything gets compared to Endgame when you can't fucking do that. Like it's
which is another thing that people like Scorsese and other people have talked about, which is the fact that we've moved this bar higher and higher and higher and higher financially. It's like, you know how many movies and how many movie studios and directors would kill for an $80 million opening?
Yeah.
That's a great fucking opening for a normal movie. But it's not normal stakes. And that's part of the problem, which we'll get to with Blade, which is later in the article.
Yeah. But the ensuing tsunami of spandex proved to be too much of a good thing, and the demands of churning out so much programming taxed the Marvel apparatus. Moreover, the need to tease out an interwoven storyline over so many disparate shows, movies, and platforms created a muddled narrative that baffled viewers. No. The stuff that's about the multiverse has been about the multiverse very consistently and clearly.
There's some stuff that just exists. Like Guardians 3 is not building toward a larger plan. The holiday special was not. Werewolf by Night was not. Moon Knight. The only thing Moon Knight teases is more Moon Knight. That's the only thing that it does with its after credit scene. And this is just patently false. This is a Facebook talking point. Shared universes. It's like, yeah, they exist in the same world, but like, most of Phase 4 has been criticized for not building toward a more clear thing. But now the problem is that it was demanding too much and building toward a thing. All right. Keep going.
Well, there's that, but there's also, again, we knew, no pun intended, because it was still called Infinity War Part 2, we knew what the end game was like halfway into Phase 2. Yeah. So then we as the audience got to go, okay, so this is going here, this is moving there. Then you see how the puzzle pieces are moving. That once we got Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, or these are the next things. And then, like, which was painfully fucking obvious to anybody who was paying attention, that it was like, well, yes, of course. Now we know what all this is building towards, what it represents, what it means. You know, not every movie Phases 1 through 3 built towards Infinity War. They didn't. You know, some of them like laid the pieces for where the characters would be at, and that was enough of the table setting. But like the same things at play here. The Marvel machine was pumping out a lot of content. Did it get to the point where it was just too much and they were burning out people on superheroes? It's possible, says Wall Street analyst Eric Handler, who covers Disney. The more you do, the tougher it is to maintain the quality. They tried experimenting with breaking in some new characters like Shang-Chi and the Eternals, with mixed results. With budgets as big as these, you need home runs, which again we talked about. You know, the constantly ratcheting up of the box office or the budgets. Blah, blah. The Marvels, which opens in theaters on November 10th, will struggle to get the ball past the infield, at least by Marvel's outsized standards. The movie, which cost $250 million, sees Brie Larson reprising her role as Captain Carol Danvers, dragging open $75 million to $80 million, far below the $185 million Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness took in domestically in its debut weekend last year. Now, this is a argument that drives me fucking insane.
It does. Because 1, they didn't come out at the same time of year. 2, there wasn't a strike. 3, multiverse is coming off of Spider-Man.
Well, yeah,
other
and
things.
like I don't think, and
Spider-Man
again,
and WandaVision.
Spider-Man and WandaVision. So like Multiverse of Madness almost felt like its own like culminating event.
Yeah.
For like the first chunk of the multiverse saga. But the other issue I take with it is this like weird framing of like, well, yeah, like not to get into the whole, are you coming for the story, but or are you coming for the set dressing? But like, we were promised some crazy cool shit in this one. You know, like the trailers were showing us Charles, like Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, and it was basically known to the world that the Krasinski Reed Richards shit was going to happen. You know, like there was just like Multiverse of Madness felt like one of the building blocks of the multiverse saga. The Marvels also does not necessarily feel like it's one of those direct, this is feeding into the big story beats. And that's before you factor in, you know, a May blockbuster versus a November strike, like all of that.
It's just picking something random. Like they didn't even pick the most recent movie.
Yeah.
Like they just picked a random. Okay, it's dumb. Let's continue.
Directed by Nia DaCosta, The Marvels unites Larson's heroine with superpowered allies Teyonah Parris's Monica Rambeau and Aman Vellani's Kamala Khan. But instead of seamlessly building on the success of Captain Marvel, this movie resulted in 4 weeks of reshoots to bring coherence to a tangled storyline. Something that happened with almost every single Phase 1 movie.
Every Phase 1 movie, Rogue One, tons of every blockbuster movie goes to reshoots. Every single one.
Yeah.
And
reshoots are not inherently bad. They're not inherently bad.
Yeah.
There's just examples of reshoot movies that were reshot that were like a fucking nightmare, like Suicide Squad, you know?
Yeah. And you have like James Wan the other day with Aquaman 2, where like they said the same thing about Aquaman 2. Maybe some of it's true, but he came out and was like, yeah, reshoots take forever because people move on to other jobs. And so you have to get them back and schedule, and it takes a while.
Speaking of, then eyebrows were raised again when DaCosta began working on another film while The Marvels was still in post-production. The filmmaker moved to London earlier this year to begin prepping for her Tessa Thompson drama Hedda. If you're directing a $250 million movie, it's kind of weird for the director to leave a few months to go, says a source familiar with the production. Yeah, count the amount of time Steven Spielberg did that, and no one has a problem with it. It's a black woman, so it's a problem.
James Gunn was CEO of the competition while in post on Guardians. Like, this is a nothing fucking point. First of all, it's already competing stories because Collider says that's not true. Not that I think Collider is at all a source that I take seriously, because they're not. But it's just like this easy like he said she said of internet journalism goes beyond protecting sources and just goes into like create like the way that's phrased, like to bring coherence to a jumbled narrative or whatever. Like, who the fuck? Well, so your source said that an unfinished movie wasn't coherent. Did they get to watch the assembly cut? Did they like who the fuck is this source? So I don't know. So that annoys me. Nia DaCosta being held to a completely different standard annoys the fuck out of me. It's racist and it's misogynistic. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid.
It is very stupid, and it is fandom menace bait. The Marvels has seen its release date move back twice. Once to swap places with Quantumania, which was deemed further along, and again when its debut shifted from July to November to give the filmmakers more time to tinker. But that extra time didn't necessarily help. In June, Marvel, which traditionally only solicits feedback from Disney employees and their friends and families, took the uncharted step of holding a public test screening in Texas. The audience gave the film middling reviews. But Marvel has never been in the business of being average. Quote, Kevin's superpower, his genius has always been in post-production and getting his hands on movies and making sure they finish strongly, the source adds. These days, he's spread thin. Feige is the only person showing signs of strain. Marvel's entire VFX battalion, including staffers and vendors, is struggling to keep pace with a never-ending stream of productions. This past February, when the credits rolled on the world premiere of Quantumania, a shock rippled through the Regency Theater in Westwood over some shoddy CGI. There were at least 10 scenes where the visual effects had been added at the last minute and were out of focus. Says one veteran power broker who was there. It was insane. I've never seen something like that in my entire life. Everyone was talking about it. Even the kids of executives were talking about it. And again, that's on Disney. That's on Marvel. Shitty practices here. I don't think a single person would be disappointed with the movie getting pushed back several months because it assures a better product for the consumer and not horrible working conditions for the people who make it. The schedule swap with the Marvels had left Ant-Man in the squeeze, pushing up its post-production schedule by 4.5 months. Marvel films are known for coming down to the wire, given Feige's ability to, quote, film the runway and land a plane that way, unquote, says one executive familiar with how the company operates. But this level of unfinished was unprecedented and would be noted in scathing reviews when the tentpole with a $200 million budget opened 11 days after the premiere. Critics weren't the only ones dismayed, fed up with 14-hour work days with no overtime. Marvel VFX workers voted unanimously to unionize in September, sparking an industry-wide trend. Good. The year 2023 was the straw that broke the camel's back, says former Marvel VFX assistant coordinator Anna George, who appeared before Congress Labor Caucus on October 19th to testify about the studio's untenable deadlines and working conditions. The pay and long hours at Marvel were the reason we had to start our unionization process there. The conditions were completely unsustainable. Disney's top brass, including newly returned CEO Bob Iger, was said to be apologetic about Marvel's VFX troubles. 1 month after the Quantumania premiere debacle, the guillotine fell on Victoria Alonso, who oversaw the studio's physical production, post-production, VFX, and animation. While the reason cited for her abrupt firing was her unauthorized role as an executive producer in the Oscar-nominated film Argentina 1985, insiders say Disney was incensed that quality control on the Marvel productions was plummeting, particularly on the ever-expanding TV front. The FX logjam had been evident for some time, with the final effects for Disney Plus series such as WandaVision and She-Hulk Attorney at Law inserted after their streaming debuts. That Alonso was busy promoting her art house project while Rome Burns certainly didn't sit well with Disney's leadership. Alonso's attorneys say her client is unable to comment. Again, I take more umbrage with the working conditions than anything here. Alden, I know you personally have never been one to really make a fuss out of CGI stuff.
Well, my issue is this. People online love to try to have everything both ways, where they'll be like so pro the VFX workers, as they should be, and pro their unionization and pro their industry and pro their work and wanting better treatment for them. But then something like Quantumania comes out and all they do is shit all over the CGI. And it's like, where is any of the empathy that you claim to hold?
Yeah.
Like, where is anything that you espouse? And like, they don't know how to actually break things down. Like, was the quality of the effects in Quantumania what I would consider good? No, it wasn't. It looked quite frankly like the lower end of like Mandalorian, the off episodes of Mandalorian. That's how Quantumania looked for me. However, in that same film, the design work I thought was so rich and inventive. Yeah. And people don't know how to talk about those as two parts of a thing. Like, did those environments look good? No, but in those environments, you had that broccoli guy and the brain guy and all these costumes and the creatures that they would ride and all these things.
That's nothing of like the architecture of like
exactly
Kang's, like that capital.
And that stuff is, and this is about how we talk about movies, where people are just like, "Huh, it doesn't look like Paul Rudd was really standing in the quantum realm. CGI bad." Which, like, no fucking shit. But then we don't hear about anything on any sort of level that matters, that stays with you. Like, guess what, motherfucker? I don't love ET because I think he looks real. He has a design that speaks to you. Like, there are things about him that work in a certain way, and we've destroyed the way that we talk about these things, and we just shit all over it. And it's always CGI bad, practical good, when most of the time people can't tell you the difference. And great CGI is not noticeable. Like, real sets, practical effects is what they sold Force Awakens on from a production level. It has more effect shots than most movies of that year, and of its kind. Phantom Menace has the most practical shots and the most practical effects. And so it's like, people don't know the fuck they're talking about. And I feel for these workers, and the treatment has just been awful. And hearing about what happens in these movies is awful. These 16-hour days and nothing extra, and these ridiculous standards, and the Latin woman taking the fall in terms of this. I'm not saying she was perfect, and I'm also not saying she's hurting. She's an executive at $1 billion company. I'm sure she's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
but
and she's been there since day one. Like, I think that
a true day one. Yeah,
like, again, this is one of the things that, like, from the MCU book, like, it was her, D'Esposito, and Feige. Like, that was the fucking Marvel triumvirate.
And so it's like, this is a complicated issue, and it's like, again, it's about a deeper sort of media literacy and, like, an understanding. Like, the CGI, like, okay, yeah, maybe it wasn't great, but what happened in that CGI environment? What was going on? Like, you don't like the way the quantum realm works, okay, but, like, do you understand what it meant for Janet and Kang to be trapped there? Do you understand the characters? Do you understand what Scott and Cassie are going through as she continues to become more like Scott while Scott continues to change? Like, there's all, and you don't have to like any of it, but it's just this dishonesty, like, that we act like these films are like shitty Walmart bin PS1 games with nothing going on except polygon graphics. Like, it's so dumb. And frustrating. And I don't know. A part of it is just because the more film nerds, not even film nerds, the more just average nerds know about the way movies are made, it's like the less they understand them.
Yeah.
It's so weird, turning movie talk into sports talk radio. It's cursed us all. But I don't even remember where we are in the article anymore. You can keep going.
But some internal sources suggest Alonso was the scapegoat and point to the She-Hulk VFX issues as a symptom of a deeper rot, namely a lack of oversight on script development. In the original arc of She-Hulk, a flashback of Tatiana Maslany's transformation into She-Hulk didn't take place until episode 8, the penultimate episode. But after Marvel's Brain Trust watched footage, it realized the scene needed to happen in the pilot episode so that audiences could see more of the character's backstory early. That meant that the VFX team was tasked with fixing the mess in post-production. The so-called bad VFX we see is because of half-baked scripts, says one person involved with She-Hulk. That is not Victoria, that is Kevin. And even above Kevin, those issues should be addressed in pre-production. The timeline is not allowing the Marvel executives to sit with the material. And again...
And that's valid. That's valid.
That is valid. Not only is that valid, we know that is being remedied now.
Exactly. This is a thing that, like, again, we don't, not that companies need us to defend them. That's the thing that I want to make very clear. Because we're going to clip this section out and it's going to be posted. And you love to have these guys that think they're so fucking smart that with like 6 numbers at the end of their Twitter handle that show up and are like, they show up and they're like, oh, yeah, you're in a cape for $1 billion. You're a corpo. It's like, no, I'm not. It's just saying, like, these are creative people. Like, I know people. I am, in terms of, like, friend groups, I'm 3 connections away from Kevin Feige. Like, one of my best friends just hung out at a birthday party with that Feige was at, that Giacchino was at. Like, this is a real person. And yes, he seems like he's so big and like larger than life, but like all you can do in creative endeavors is be like, I think this actually would be better, and do it over here, and move over here. And like they're doing that, and people are like, "Oh, they're in fucking shambles." It's like, who amongst us has not done a job and then realized there was a better way to do that job, and then you just go do that? Like, like people don't want things to just. People will not allow things to grow. They won't allow things to change. They won't allow things to improve, and they won't give anything the room to be okay. One of my friends, your friends, one of my favorite people, Nikki Kumar, he said the like 2 nights ago we were talking about this very story, and he was like, I don't understand why there is no why middle reactions are bad now. Like the Marvels, it got middling reactions at a test screening allegedly, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of movies that I like in the middle. There's a lot like, but this generation has made mid a fucking insult
Yeah.
of the
Mid
highest
as a
proportions.
slur.
Mid derogatory, yeah. And so it's like, what? Like I compare She-Hulk to easy listening. It's got lots to say, but I could throw it on and eat some pizza, and like I wasn't having to sit down with it in the same way I would like Game of Thrones, where it's like every line here is so important and I need quiet while I watch it. We we can't allow things to just be fine anymore. I think your opinion on like Moon Knight is like a great example where you're like, that was good, and you moved on with your life.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best thing ever. It wasn't the worst thing. It
There was
wasn't
some
even
stuff that
bad.
knocked my socks off. I didn't care
Yeah.
for the first couple episodes. You can tell that shit was supposed to be a movie.
And
Moving
you
on.
just moved on with your life. And season 2 comes around, you'll give it a try, whatever. We've lost that entirely to the point where like we hear now, oh, their Daredevil show because of She-Hulk, because in a lot of ways it was the post on She-Hulk that kind of showed them the way, because they brought Gal back in to oversee post, and really from a writer's perspective, showrunner perspective, we hear this, which is good, and we're like, fucking idiots, fucking shambles, fucking falling apart. And it's like, you guys got no fucking idea how difficult some of this shit is. Like you just don't understand. And if this Daredevil show is anything less than like, if this Daredevil show doesn't feel like Martin Scorsese himself directed it, people are gonna be like, "It fucking sucks. It was better under Netflix." You just know, it already.
Well, I mean, and that is, and now granted, it does. I believe they said that Daredevil's going to be TVMA, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong.
There's news that's breaking as we're here, by the way.
Oh,
In regards to that, I was gonna wait until it was over, but it's relevant now.
Alden Diaz's breaking news desk.
Breaking news. They've released an opening intro. So you know how there's like the Marvel Studios fanfare.
Yeah.
There's the Marvel special presentation that was in front of Werewolf by Night and Guardians.
Is this the Marvel Spotlight thing?
Marvel Spotlight. Yeah, was that earlier today?
That was
Did I miss
earlier
this?
today. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm seeing it now. So it's breaking news, I guess, for me personally.
I mean, hey, it's the day it broke.
It's the day it broke. It's Marvel Spotlight. These projects will focus more on grounded, character-driven stories with street-level stakes, and will be, it appears, less relevant to the overall, like less focus on the larger continuity. And of course, here's the first tweet I see about it. Woke up to the news of Marvel Spotlight. I never have to watch a multiverse project again. Like there were so many. People are so stupid. People are so dumb. But yeah, Marvel Spotlight is a thing. New music by Michael Giacchino for the fanfare. So it's like, yeah, that's
I didn't know
be
they
where
released
Echo goes.
the thingy. I just saw
Yeah.
the announcement. I didn't know they had.
So that's what Echo is going to be the first one. So it's like, I'm sure Born Again will go right in there. If they did another season of Moon Knight, maybe that will go in there.
Well, and I think there's also something to be said. I saw this TikTok the other day that I thought I do think hit the nail on the head. Is that on some level I do think that, and again, I think that the biggest problem demographic within these conversations are your hucksters and grifters who, like, I don't think they appreciated the themes and characterization of Daredevil. I think they liked that it was violent as shit.
Oh yeah.
You
You'll
know, and
see
I think
some
that
of the first comments that I saw about the Echo trailer were, this is I shit you not, this is an exact quote. It was from a Reddit comment, which, you know, my mistake for going into those comments. It said,
yeah, that one's on you. That's on you. I have
that's
no
on me.
sympathy.
I own that. It said, this is the level of brutality we should have seen in Moon Knight. I'm like, that's your takeaway? That's your takeaway. Nothing
Also,
about
Moon Knight was fucking vicious.
it was. It's like, so that's your takeaway. Nothing about Maya or her deafness or her relationship with Fisk or Native American culture or even Daredevil. Nothing about what happened there. Just the brutality I should have seen in another show. You people are bad at watching things.
That's what I've been saying. All right, moving forward. All while Marvel was bleeding money with a single episode of She-Hulk costing $25 million, dwarfing the budget of a final season episode of HBO's Game of Thrones, without a similar zeitgeist bang. The August 2022 series premiere at El Capitan foreshadowed what was to come 6 months later at the Quantum Mania Ball. The She-Hulk special effects were out of focus in multiple scenes. There are signs that the flood of product is leading to people to tune out. Quote, I'm not prepared to call it a permanent fall, but based on the numbers that go with Marvel podcasts, Marvel-based articles, friends who do Marvel-based video coverage, all of these numbers are significantly down, says Joanna Robinson, co-author of New York Times bestseller MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, who is a writer and podcaster at The Ringer. Quality is suffering. In 2019 at the peak, if you put Marvel Studios in front of something, people were like, oh, that means brand quality, or that brand means quality. That association is no longer the case because there have been so many projects that have felt half-baked and undercooked. As a
The problem is that so much of this is based in personal opinion. Like, that's the issue that I have with this. And the other issue, again, not to make this a fucking 4-hour episode, but it's just like the revisionist
like
history.
I'm afraid of those.
Yeah. The revisionist history is such bullshit. It's such bullshit. This is not against Joanna Robinson or The Ringer or her book, which I would love to read.
It's good. It's good. I will say about the book real quick.
Because what I love about her book coming out is that they had the one that was let me get the names right. So you had the Marvel Studios history one, right?
Yes.
And that book comes out, and it's the story of Marvel Studios by Tara Bennett Paul Terry, right? And that's like officially licensed to like big coffee table book, whatever.
It is the authorized,
Yes. And it's big, nice slipcase. But then you get MCU The Reign of Marvel, and the cover is just like a Hollywood sign sort of parody, and like you could tell that reading them back to back, there's probably a lot more spice in the second one.
You know, a lot of people have been using MCU as a like companion hit piece. Now, like I said, let me actually look on Audible so I can tell you exactly where I'm at in the book. Right now, they're in pre-production for Captain America and Thor. So I'm on chapter 12. I have like 8 hours left of the book.
Yeah. Okay.
So far, and I've used this description talking to people and they didn't know what I was talking about. Alden, I know you will.
Mm-hmm.
So far, it reads like the Marvel version of Empire of Dreams,
which I love. I love that. There's also How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, which, if you've never read, is very much like that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I also know there's another Star Wars book in the works from Eric Schwartzel, who we interviewed on this podcast, who wrote Red Carpet, the book about China and Hollywood. Which read Red Carpet, watch the interview. I love Eric. He's also working on a book about Star Wars fandom, which I can't fucking wait for. Yeah. I love him. I love his work. But
in any case, like I only bring those books up to say and talk about the history. It's not against any of them, but it's just like it's so blatantly fucking untrue to act like people assumed that it was the stamp of quality. Like, I'm sorry, it's just fucking not. They loved Iron Man. They thought Hulk was fine. They really didn't like Iron Man 2. They really didn't like it. And they thought Thor was fine. And they liked Cap. And they loved Avengers. But they hated Iron Man 3. And then they really
Until
didn't
now,
like Thor
now
the
that
Dark
Iron
World.
Man 3 is a fucking, like, you know.
I've always been there for Iron Man 3.
Oh, yeah, same. I've been there for Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 3
Not as much
fucks.
as Travis. Not as
Iron
much
Man
as
3
Travis.
Fucks.
Travis is
Two's
like hottest
good.
Marvel
It's good.
take. Travis's hottest Marvel take is that his favorite MCU movie is Iron Man 2.
Ah, dude, Travis. Man after my own heart. Iron Man 2 is it's so much fun. Yeah, this is a falsehood. This is just not fucking true.
Well, and again, it takes me back to this whole idea of like they fell off after Endgame, bro, which I think also is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is an element of this I don't think we talk about very often, is that, you know, Endgame came like 2019, it very weirdly in the real world and for our culture, like pop culture, was ends of eras.
Mm-hmm.
And we had no idea how much of a new era of the world we were stepping into in 2020.
Yeah.
But like Thrones ended, the Skywalker saga ended, the Infinity Saga ended. All of that happened within months of each other. And I think that a lot of the fallout, again, is these stories are new, they're taking different shapes, and it's not the story you knew anymore. The same way, I know there's a lot of people who were like, yeah, like I watched the Star Wars movies, that's it. You know, that I think there's some of that there. And I think that to a culture, but to a pop culture, to a fan culture that for whatever reason wants to root against Marvel in this weird, I want you to be better, so I'm rooting against you weird way. It's like you with me in epic confrontations. There's that. I feel like if something like Empire of Dreams came out today, people would use it as a cudgel to explain how Lucasfilm is falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I and again, like, and there are valid. I've seen some valid criticisms of Empire of Dreams about, like, you know, there are some things that are like very much disputed. I took that part of Empire of Dreams where they talk about how I love you, I know. For people at home, Empire of Dreams is this documentary about the making of the original Star Wars trilogy. I realized I did not acknowledge that. I took that moment of Irvin Kershner explaining how I love you, I know happened as gospel, only for years after Carrie Fisher's passing to find out that, like, she claims she came up with the fucking line, and Harrison Ford has like a slightly different story that has like weird inconsistencies with Kershner's, you know? So like there's some stuff there that, like, you know, they kind of pad to have a better story to tell, and how, you know, there's valid criticism of how it frames Lucas in certain entertainment guilds. Like, there's plenty to criticize there. That is just the nature of documentary storytelling. But all of that to say, if that came out today and it was made about, you know, the sequel trilogy and the Star Wars stories, or a TV show or two, it would be used as proof as to why Star Wars and Lucasfilm is dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
It would be used as like a see, and this is why Rogue Squadron's never going to see the light of day, or this or that or that. And I think that because that we are so hardwired, or that the conversation culturally is so hardwired to look at these things as like a net negative for some reason. Looking at the scrappy, you know, we had to punch, kick, claw, scratch, bite our way into this shit working, and once it worked, we got to coast on that shit mentality, as like a look at the dysfunction from the very beginning. You know, like, I don't think the current Star Wars fandom could handle an Empire of Dreams. And I think part of that, and again, maybe MCU does take more of a negative bend towards the end, you know, and if it does, like, you know, that's the editorial right of the people who wrote it. But you know, these things are more complicated than that. And getting this like really just raw behind the scenes look is always going to come with a little bit more edge to it, that, you know, it frustrates me that MCU so far, from what I have seen, is being used as that people are calling it a Marvel hit piece when, you know, it's fucking underdog story, you know, and
Mhm.
it's a good one. And Alden, I really do think you should read it. I think you'll love it. As public criticism mounts, Feige is pulling the plug on scripts and projects that aren't working. Case in point, the Blade reboot. With Mahershala Ali signed on for the titular role of the Vampire Slayer, things look promising for a 2023 release date. But the project has gone through at least 5 writers, 2 directors, and 1 shutdown 6 weeks before production. One person familiar with the script permutations says the story at one point morphed into a narrative led by women and filled with life lessons. Blade was relegated to the 4th lead.
Stop. I just want to. There's 2 things about this. One is the reputation, which came out after, but I just want to stop there. Blade being the 4th lead in his own movie is kind of dumb. It's not true, but it's kind of dumb.
You said a reputation. I want you to elaborate on that because I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so that part's not true. So we'll start with that. Again, this is why these articles piss me off, is because they'll get like the quality of like sourcing nowadays is just like, oh well, my buddy told me. I was at a Hollywood party and my buddy told me.
Sources close to my rectum say.
Yeah. So Michael Starbury, he says, I worked on a draft of this film before the strike. So he's one of the most recent writers. He says, never saw a version where Blade was the 4th lead or that it was a narrative led by women and filled with life lessons. But I suppose a lot could have happened since I had anything to do with it. But he was in 99% of the scripts that I was a part of. So
like the main character?
Yeah, you know. But here's the other thing that gets me. Narrative led by women and filled with life lessons. The fuck's wrong with that? Like, I love how they, especially the filled with life lessons. I'm sorry. That's a negative. This is so fucking stupid. So fucking stupid.
Well, and I just want to say real quick that, you know, I do not want to like, I don't want to imply that I think Tatiana Siegel is like trying to court like the fandom menace with this. I really do not want to imply that. However, in the same way that I criticize anybody with a platform, especially in like a legacy trade like Variety, that certain things when they float around is going to become like catnip for the shitheads.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be on the record that like that's already a Fandom Menace talking point. Look at The Mandalorian. Look at this past season of The Mandalorian. Din Djarin shared more screen time with a person who wasn't a little green puppet. And people say he got backseated.
Mm-hmm.
Reva exists in Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we can unpack the racial fucking dog whistle there that people very irresponsibly throw out haphazardly. But like, that's a talking point of woman shows up, in particular, woman of color shows up, and that inherently emasculates and pulls focus from our male lead.
It's stupid.
And I think that, and I truly think that there needs to be a little bit more of an ear to the ground with this shit. That the phrasing here and the attention to detail needs to be more precise, especially if that's horse shit. Mm-hmm. Especially if that part specifically is fucking horse shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing that frustrates me. Blade was relegated 4th lead. A bizarre idea, considering the studio had 2-time Oscar award winner Mahershala Ali. Blah blah blah. Amid reports that Ali was ready to exit over the script issues, Feige went back to the drawing board and hired Michael Green, the Oscar-nominated writer of Logan, to start anew. Just for the record, the guy who wrote Logan doing Blade.
Yeah, he did Logan. He did Blade Runner 2049. Like, go ahead. And now they want to.
It's gonna be a big nut bust.
Correct.
Speculation around town that the studio is looking to make the film, now slated for a 2025 release, on a budget of less than $100 million, a deviation from Marvel's big spending strategy, which makes sense. Like, they made fucking like the OG Wesley Snipes Blade for a relatively small budget. Like, I can totally see them doing another Blade.
You look at the
not
the
shoestring by any
creator
means,
just
but
came out. The
yeah,
creator that
yeah.
just
I
came
didn't get
out,
a chance
Jarod
to
Edwards,
see it
like,
yet, but holy God, it looks so good.
$80 million. Like this is vampires, man. Cheap.
I know,
You
man.
bring it in cheap.
Tony Gilroy can't stop. Oh, I'm sorry. He actually made this one.
Tony Gilroy. Tony Gilroy should do Blade.
No shade to Gareth Edwards. I'm just being an asshole. It's the funniest joke in The Boys, hands down. With Iger publicly acknowledging the downside of a Marvel TV glut that, quote, diluted focus and attention, the keepers of the comic book empire are considering some dramatic moves. Sources say that they have been in talks to bring back the original gang for an Avengers movie. This would include reviving Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, both of whom died in the events of Avengers Endgame. Lost my place. But the studio hasn't yet commented on or committed to the idea. If they were able to bring those actors back, it wouldn't be cheap. Sources say Downey's upfront salary for Iron Man 3 was around $25 million, and I believe was even more for Infinity War and Endgame.
I don't even want to dignify this part with much discussion because it's fucking stupid. The fact that we have a legacy publication like Variety reporting ideas that were allegedly talked about and not committed to, like their news, is stupid.
Yeah.
It is bottom of the barrel. Like, what is they talking
Mike
about?
Zero shit. It's Mike Zero shit.
They discussed. It's like, oh, they discussed. I'm sure they discuss a lot of shit. I'm sure if you work there and you catch Kevin in the hallway, you could talk about lots of stuff that'll never happen. The other part of it that makes it even dumber is that they've announced a film called Secret Wars, which is likely to do this.
Yeah. I don't understand how this is news. Like, I read that. I'm like, oh, so you mean Secret Wars? I like when I read this, I said that out loud to myself.
So stupid. Secret Wars, yeah, the movie that everyone is speculating will have Tobey Maguire, Hugh Jackman, Downey, the best of every era, basically.
Yeah. It'll be the Avengers of the Avengers.
Yeah, like we got it. This is not news.
Will that solve Marvel's major problem? Stanley would be proud. When the Quantumania actor was arrested in March, Disney executives insisted that they could afford to play a wait and see game. I just want to say real quick, I brought this up before. Jonathan Majors got arrested on my fucking birthday. And I remember being lit at Dave & Buster's.
That's where I love to take in all my news.
That's lit at Dave & Buster's. I literally had just taken off the headset for the lightsaber VR game. Saw that my phone lit up with Twitter news notifications, opened it, and just out loud went, "Oh no!" Just like that.
I really just don't understand why. Again, we said it already, but I just don't understand how they're having such a difficult time with this. It
is important to me that people know that I had a like, where were you when you found out Jonathan Majors might be a fucking monster moment?
Yeah.
I was lit at Dave & Buster's. Disney executives insisted they could afford to play a wait and see game, given that Avengers: The Kang Dynasty wasn't expected to begin shooting until early 2024. But then Majors was dropped in quick succession by his publicists and managers in April. Or I've been skipping like the parenthetical stuff. This is actually important. He remains a client at WME, the agency where he landed after CAA parted ways with him pre-arrest for his, quote, brutal conduct towards staff, says one source. CAA declined to comment. I've been skipping a lot of the parenthetical stuff because it's kind of like sidebar shit that if you're listening to a comic book movie news podcast, you know. In April, other alleged domestic violence victims of Majors began cooperating with the Manhattan DA. Then, ahead of a key hearing in October, media outlets, including Variety, obtained a court filing that referenced a police incident in London involving Majors that led his ex-girlfriend to seek medical attention. Making matters even worse, or making matters even stickier, the ex-girlfriend who also worked on Quantumania as a movement coach, and the London incident took place while Majors was shooting season 2 of Loki. On October 25th, a New York judge denied Majors' motion to dismiss the case, which ensures that the actor will stand trial in late November. His legal team is attempting to keep material in the case sealed. A studio source notes that regardless of the actor's legal issues, Marvel already had considered moving away from Majors' led phase because of the box office performance of Quantumania, which will struggle to make a profit. It gave people pause that Quantumania didn't exactly land, the source says. On October 27th, Disney removed another Majors film, Searchlight's Magazine Dreams, from the release calendar. Recasting Majors is also an option. Oh, holy shit. Hold on. An ad moved and threw off the whole formatting. Recasting Majors is also an option, as Feige did when he replaced Terrence Howard in Iron Man 2 with Don Cheadle. In fact, Marvel isn't afraid to change direction after making splashy announcements. Armor Wars was unveiled as a series and is now being developed as a feature film, while the studio's push to adapt the comic book Inhumans into a feature film generated headlines but is now dormant. The now defunct Marvel Television mounted an Inhumans TV series in 2017 that only had one season. Why the fuck are we talking about Inhumans?
We've been down this road again. The Feige restructure, threatened to quit, all that, which I'm sure you'll get to in the book, and I'm sure it'll be a great few chapters, is well documented, and it already happened. And who gives a shit, man? Let's keep going.
Still, there has been one bright spot in 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which became Marvel's biggest draw of the year with $845 million worldwide. The fact that it was directed by James Gunn, the guy who now runs Marvel DC Studios, was lost on no one. With Marvel, it used to be close to a guarantee, as you could get, says Paul, last name I'm not going to attempt, a box office analyst at ComScore. So going all in on the budgets made sense. Guardians 3 was a bit overlooked in how successful it was, but it had James Gunn and Chris Pratt, and I think star power is becoming more important. There was Quantumania with $476 million. Anything under $500 million is viewed as a disappointment, and these overreaching expectations are a result of so much success over the years. The key to reinvigorating Marvel may lie with the superhero arsenal that Disney acquired during its 2019 purchase of 21st Century Fox. That deal brought several blue chip heroes back into the fold as the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Already fans geeking out about the next year's Deadpool, which unites Ryan Reynolds, Merc with a Mouth, with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and a reboot of Fantastic Four slated for 2025. As a bonus, the Fox editions give Feige an opportunity to reimagine the X-Men franchise, the very property that he cut his teeth on as a young executive at Lauren Schuler Donner's production company. Now the WGA strike is in the rearview mirror. Marvel has started talking to writers about bringing the X-Men into the MCU fold. While Feige recalibrates, the rest of the industry is anxious, hoping that Marvel's best days are not behind it. Writing the Marvel obituary would be ill-fated, says Jason Squire, professor emeritus at USC School of Cinematic Arts and host of the Movie Business podcast. Kevin Feige is the Babe Ruth of movie executives, and Marvel has the most profitable track record in movie history. No question. End of article.
I mean, yeah, even not even talking profits, just like talking about any creative output, like there's always going to be that moment where you're like, oh, okay, some bumps, but then what's the next thing? But I look forward to the Kevin Feige produced X-Men film. That way we can have more revisionist history and we can act like the Fox era was perfect. Can't wait.
Man, I cannot wait to watch people try to defend the incoherent nature of the Fox-Men universe.
I don't know if we were friends yet, Jared, when I was sitting on a call just like this one with Nikki, who had seen maybe a couple X-Men movies, and he was like, can you explain to me the continuity? And so I'm sitting here maybe for like 30 minutes, just like, well, you go up here and you're doing this. And then, God, who was it that sent is it Dennis Rodman? What's that clip of the guy who's like, you gotta go this way and this way and around here and back again, like some clip like that. I can't remember what it was, but God, it's asinine. Look, man, my closing thoughts on this. I've pretty much said everything that I feel like I have to say. This is revisionist history combined with hyperbole, combined with putting things under a microscope in a way that Lucasfilm was very used to, where it's like, because it's big, we're going to act like it's very normal problems are end of the world problems.
Yeah.
The fact, like the end of that article says it right there, the expectations got so high that anything less than half a bill is a problem. And it's like, just think about how dumb that sounds. Like,
Yeah.
think about how stupid it sounds in terms of movies in general. They did a phase full of increased diversity, full of experimentation with format, full of some stuff that worked fucking wonders, like No Way Home and Guardians 3 and Loki, and some stuff that didn't work. Secret Invasion, to most people. I'm sure there's someone out there that loves Secret Invasion. That's the thing, is that you hate to talk about the stuff like it's facts, because it's not opinion. There is somebody out there that's like, I love that show, and they don't care and they don't know anything about any of this, and that's great, and I'm happy for them. And none of this is like zero-sum game. None of it is so binary. This is dumb. And if you're more concerned about movie business than you are about understanding movies, then you're never going to be happy. That's my ultimate message to TNAP viewers and film people on the internet, is just like, this stuff is so constantly moving all the time. Like the Guillermo del Toro Jabba the Hutt movie, like that existed in a form of having a script or whatever. Okay. And then it didn't happen. Like, so many ideas don't happen. This is just the business. It's a miracle that any movie ever gets made, which is why he can say that Kevin Feige is the Babe Ruth of being movie producer, because he is. He's still a young guy, and he's got this incredible track record. And again, he doesn't need me to defend him, but it's like, it'll be okay. So let's say the Marvel, and also what's gonna be really fucking hilarious? If the Marvels is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
That's gonna be really fucking funny when the Marvels becomes like the MCU's underrated gem. That's gonna be fucking funny. We already know it's their shortest movie.
I mean, hey, I'm already willing to argue that Captain Marvel might be one of the underrated gems.
I am lukewarm on Captain Marvel as a movie. I think it's fine. I think it's probably bottom third for me, but still a good movie. Like, it's fine.
I love Carol. So that's
She's cool.
part of it for me.
She's cool as fuck. And I love the Rambos. I think the Rambos are great. This is all so nothing. This is what happens when you, like, we've seen this happen with individuals, and now we're seeing it happen with a company. My ultimate example is Taika Waititi. Yes. Taika Waititi is, as a man and as a creator, what happens when your indie band or indie rapper gets too big and then you say they sold out, and then you turn on them and you hate them. He's gone through this cycle now, and he had some indie films, and then What We Do in the Shadows gets big. The film version gets big. He gets Ragnarok, and it's like, he injected life into it, he invigorated it, and this is what it needs. And then he rides that high, goes and makes a fucking Oscar caliber movie, wins the fucking screenplay Oscar, comes back, and now he's got What We Do with the Shadows, the show that he executive produces. Our Flag Means Death, he executive produces and stars in. All these plates spinning, shoots a movie here that's finally coming out. Next Goal Wins. And then he's like, I'm going to do another Thor, and it's going to be all that shit you said you loved about the last one. I'm going to give you more of it, and some romance and some wacky shit. And then people were like, this guy's a hack. He was never good. Sell out. Don't like him. That's just how people are.
Yep.
People are just like that. I don't know why, but what is it in Raimi Spider-Man? Like, they want to see a hero fall. Like,
one thing these people love more than a hero, to see a hero fail, fall, die trying.
That's
of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you.
Mm-hmm. That's what. So Fahey and his whole company is going through that now. You know what's curious though? In this whole article and all the discourse about it, everything about it, not one, I swear on my life and my dog's life, I have not seen. I'm not saying they're not out there, but I have not seen a call for his job.
Yeah.
I have not seen anyone say Kevin Feige needs to be removed or fired. If Kathleen Kennedy, if Kathleen Kennedy ordered a sandwich and it didn't have the cheese that some writers like, if she has provolone and they like Swiss, they're calling for her job.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy is the Obama wore a tan suit situation every day.
Yes.
She could do the most innocuous, just nothing bullshit. Kathleen Kennedy is like, you know, I buy markers and they're not Sharpies. I like a different brand. And people are like, you fucking idiot. Like, you should be fired. Meanwhile, Kevin Feige's like, I spent $25 million on a She-Hulk episode. And people are like, it's all good, man. You're a genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is happening? I mean, I know what's happening. It's misogyny. But it's like, to be clear, I know what's happening.
It's misogyny.
This is so stupid.